jealous because of the wife. Okay, just as a friendship. No, I'm just saying. No, I am just saying as a friendship, Carrie. A friendship she'll talk about. I know she's trying to talk about what can I say? Me and you have no conversation about you.
Last time I was here, this pillar was exposed granite or whatever the hell it was. Exposed stone. I figured that wasn't going to stay that way. And the skating rink is open. I also think it's the first time since I've been coming back that I don't have to exit at this area by the rink. I can get in from, I think it's 51st Street. Once again, I do enjoy the light fixtures. Still a lot of work going on, but at least there's some breathing room down here now. Doesn't feel like I have a trail tunnel. Rockefeller Center is where I had my other job with a good company. That was Time Warner. Rockefeller Center and I go way back. It appears Penn Station phones are all dead and probably not coming back, which makes this Midtown's last working payphone, I think. I know of one phone inside I think it's a homeless shelter over on 44th Street, but that's not what I call a public phone. But this one seems to be alive and well, for now at least. And by the way, let's get the close-up of the number again, just as a refresher. This is the Fox News building. Across the street from what used to be the Time Life building. 1271. I don't think 1271 has a name now. But that's where I worked. In a number of floors. Never forget the palatial corner office that I fucking hated. What am I looking for? 40 West 51st Street. This will be my new 181 location if I don't bail out. remember if I observed this before, but they got rid of the, I think it was called cubed curve or curved cube by William Crovello. And they also got rid of the fountains. Wow. I wonder if they're going to make it a public space. Just some relatively modest fountains. I have a dime. I'll play ball. Yeah, I think it was that office right above the big blue sign. Or else it was the one above that, but it was my corner office. It was like bigger than my first 3 apartments in New York combined. I never liked it. I felt conspicuous, didn't feel like I'd earned it, but that was how companies like this competed with the .coms back then. They couldn't throw stock options or that kind of thing at you, so they gave you massive corner offices, and I guess that was about it, actually. Had a great view, though. The view to Radio City was, if you're into views, this view was pretty boss from up there. Never been good with flags, but I recognize a few of these. Japan and Israel.
Which is fair,
she wasn't going to do this today, but what the hell. Another Midtown payphone check. Is it possible they replaced the handsets on these things? I seem to remember them being busted up. I need to go look at my previous video. Maybe I'm thinking of the next set. This is 49th Street. I mean, why would they replace the handsets and not do anything else? But then, why do I ask such needless questions? Masterpiece. I don't know what all this scaffolding is for, but could be a cue for these things to finally get yanked out once and for all. Guy's heading off to war. Looks like these suckers are finally gone. And I might even go back to double check, but I think another set of 3 that was supposed to be between this one and the last one, I think that one's also gone. This was the one last week, I think. I found a loose sheet of metal, a loose metal plate, and I forwarded it to my artist friend. I thought he might want to pick it up because he picks up stuff like that. I don't know if he did. But they're gone, 46th Street. Nothing but some concrete smears where a couple of phones used to be. So it looks like the Payphone Angel of Death has finally swooped in. This is 45th Street, where they were here last week. 2 of them. This looks like there were 3, but there were only 2. Like I said, I wasn't going to do this today, but I guess I'm glad I did. I'm going to go back up to I think 48th, because I think there were some there last week, and if I'm not mistaken, there's a COVID testing site there now. But these still remain, and these are the worst ones in terms of graffiti and filth. The ones last week, I was saying they smelled like piss, shit, and I don't even know what else. I'm sure they still do. Oh God, that smells awful. It took a second to waft up, but there it is. Look at this. It's better than last week, I think. It's beautiful. I would like stick my head in and hold my breath, but I feel like I'm getting all kinds of shit all over my body. Like, come away from this, my jacket's gonna smell like this. Somebody got their shipment in a locker. There's an interesting name. Seriously, this is disgusting. I think I'd be the last one to say it, but they really got to get rid of these things. There used to be phone books here. It's too dark in here. What payphone is complete without a radio card on it? There are some others upstairs, but I'm not going to check on those today. I'm also not going to go back up Fifth Avenue. Not today, at least. I said I was going to go back to see if those others were missing, but... I was in the last one. On the right. You, me, and 6 million people. Since I found that unlimited Metro card, I'll check in on this phone that I normally skip because I don't want to pay the fare just to get in. Sounds like there's a musician up ahead. That was a good sound. Will it work? Wow, it does. Has dial tone at least. Actually, I don't think star 10 works on this one. Yeah, I don't think it ever worked on this one. I'll try. Oh, this phone doesn't work. It's supposed to be able to. Oh wait! It's ringing. I'll take that as evidence that this sucker works. But I remember the star shortcuts didn't work on this one. Oh cool, look at these screens. These are neat. And they don't look like they're going to change every 3 seconds, as is the inexplicable fashion. in both advertising and digital display. The Great Escape. Sponsored by Kodak. They're still around, I guess. This one is the relatively recent discovery of mine. Within the last year, I think. It doesn't work that well. Oh, I forgot to put a card on that last phone. Beautiful, right? This is on the Times Square uptown 123 platform. Bell Atlantic logo. This sucker's been dead a long time. I think I'm gonna bolt uptown. See how the old phone booths are doing. I mean, they're not old, they're actually new, but that's another story. You know what, I think I'm just gonna go down. I'm gonna go down to Penn Station instead. That West End Avenue journey is always such a project. There used to be 3 or 4 of these in a row here. One of the things I can never understand is why they get rid of all but one, as if there's any value to this. There are others in Times Square, but I've documented those many times over. This is such a horrible place. Penn Station, it's like the Scream. I always see the monk painting the Scream. I always think of that when I come through happening again. Somebody is like on the phone. I feel weird filming that, but purely for documentary purposes, right? Nothing doing. You see people like pretending to use phones like that. But there was somebody there last time I was here. And I'm feeling a little nervous right now. I'll explain later. just nervous because the dude saying $500. I thought he was talking to me, saying that that's what I could get fined for vandalizing these phones, which is probably not true. But it just sounded like he was talking to me.
Okay, let's go.
NDT. Something pretty cool just happened. I was on Lexington at 43rd Street, just exiting Grand Central. I heard somebody call my name. And whoever this was seemed pretty confident that he recognized me, but I had no idea who this was. I did actually say, well, I said Bob because he resembled a guy I knew a long time ago when I worked at the record store. But it wasn't Bob. It was Larry. Larry used to live downstairs from me. There's no way I would have recognized him. He grew a big-ass Grizzly Adams beard since the last time I remembered seeing him. He recognized me mostly because he said he follows me on Facebook. Or I haven't been very active in a long time, but that doesn't matter. That's why he recognized me, and it was sort of a sodden reminder to myself that, oh right, people actually read that shit that I unload. I mean, it's not always overshare, but it often is. He doesn't seem to think poorly of me, so it's all good. I was surprised that he didn't remember this one incident. It was, as far as I was concerned, it was our primary connection. It was one day, the door to the apartment building was locked from the inside. We couldn't get out. Nobody could get out. It was kind of a messy situation. It was a Sunday afternoon, too. So it's like the least likely time for anybody to be around to do anything about it. Or Sunday afternoon.
Yesterday he was informed that I did this shit. Owner took it already and saw that it was fine.
So I thought quickly, and the other person who couldn't get out was freaking out because she had to be at work and she's going to get fired if she didn't get there in time. And on. I tried to call the building owner, but he wasn't there. So I thought quickly. I saved the day. I knocked on Larry's door. He lived on the first floor. Apparently he recognized me because we had a pretty odd request. I said, can we climb out your window? He said he probably would have said no if he didn't recognize at least one of us. So that's what happened. He let us into his place, and we just marched right through and climbed out his window, which wasn't the safest maneuver exactly. His window was pretty high off the ground, but I helped the other woman get out. He has no memory of that. But we also had another sort of meta connection. I got mugged once out in front of the building. Mugged at knife point. And it was right outside of his front window. He was not there, but a woman friend of his was. And it turned out she witnessed the whole thing, but because of everybody being calm, cool, and collected about this mugging thing, she didn't realize what she was seeing. She didn't realize what she was looking at. She just thought some kids were I don't know what she thought. She just didn't think anything of it because there was no panic, there was no energy, nothing like that. And somehow it came to pass that we made conversation in the hallway, and one anecdote led to another. And I told her that I had just recently been mugged outside of the building, and she's like, "That was you?" And I said, "Yeah, what do you mean?" And she said, I watched the whole entire thing. I was sitting right at the window. I mean, she couldn't have been more than 10 feet away. She didn't see the knife because the guy held it pretty discreetly. Hey, there's a van from my neighborhood, 35th Street. That's my zip code, 11106. She saw the whole thing, and then suddenly she's heaping praise upon me for handling the situation the way I did. Just staying calm. And I've heard that conventional wisdom, the context that if you're getting mugged, if you think you're scared, the person doing the mugging is 10 times more scared than you are. So don't taunt them or play games with them. And frankly, I don't know about anybody else, but to me that's just common sense. I did take the whole incident a little too seriously at the time, but if it happened today, I'd probably just shrug it off. I mean, I don't know about that, but they got a wad of cash, and they threw back my cards because they didn't expect to do anything with those, I guess. But they accidentally got my driver's license. And I say accidentally because about a week and a half later, I got it in the mail. They had my license, but they threw it into a mailbox, or somebody did. Somebody put it in a mailbox. All they wanted was the cash and my phone. That was what they started following me on account of, was the Trio phone, which was a hot gadget at the time. And I did exactly what you're not supposed to do with one of those things. It was like probably midnight, and I stopped at the corner of a sort of sketchy-looking bodega where kids hang out. And I whipped that fancy phone out and probably texted somebody. And they tailed me. The knife was probably fake, but I don't care. So the meta connection to Larry is that this woman who was sat there and watched the whole thing happen was sitting in his apartment. He was out of town, I think, or maybe he worked. I think he might have worked the overnight shift or something, but he was not there. She ended up coming up to my apartment, and we would have these long conversations. She told me everything anybody would ever need to know about Larry. Most of that information has exited my head by now. And then she kept coming back to the mugging. She kept registering her admiration or approval for how smoothly I handled it. And she went on to, I think she had from experience from people that she knew who handled these situations badly and ended up making a bad situation a whole lot worse. And then she suggested we have sex. Saying that she had been having the best sex of her life over the past several months. And the first time she said this, she lifted her legs up into the air, but she was no gymnast. She was no acrobat. She just was. She lifted her legs up into the air and spread her legs really wide. And said, so, you know, she's like, do you want to? And I was like, no. And this is like on my couch, you know, and think about it now, I'd probably be like, today I'd be like, yeah, what the hell? At that stage of my life, I wasn't really wired for casual sex or sex outside of what at least is intended to be a relationship. She was an interesting woman. I had no idea what her name was or anything. I didn't think of this till later. I could have asked Larry. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll shoot him a message on Facebook. Ask him who that crazy woman staying at his place for a while was. But if he doesn't remember letting me and a stranger enter his apartment and climb out his window, there's probably a lot else he doesn't remember.